morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to talk more about dragon Pokemon. You see, a few weeks ago, we learned that fairy Pokemon are, for want of a better phrase, being discontinued in the Pokemon trading card game. We're not getting any more fairy Pokemon. And it made me wonder about dragon Pokemon. Because we didn't see any dragon Pokemon in the V-Dex over in Japan. We didn't see any dragon Pokemon in Sword and Shield. And we didn't see any dragon Pokemon in any promos. But my conclusion basically was, well, we didn't see any in X and Y. And that was fine. They came back. And they told us that they were cancelling fairy Pokemon. Why wouldn't they tell us they were cancelling dragon as well? And my conclusion basically was, the sky isn't falling, don't tell the king. Dragon Pokemon look like they're going to be back. Well, a bit of time has passed now. And we have seen every single card from VMAX Rising. I have in fact analysed every single card from VMAX Rising. And the problem is, we've still not seen any dragon Pokemon. But I think it goes more than that. It seems like Pokemon are going out of their way to not give us dragon Pokemon. And I think nobody really encapsulates this more than Dragapult. Now, in every generation, we have a Stage 2 Pokemon near the end of the Pokedex, which everybody loves. It's always a very popular Pokemon. Think ones like Garchomp, think ones like Dragonite, often referred to as pseudo-legendaries. They're not legendaries, but they're not a million miles away. And everybody loves them. And for this generation, it was Dragapult. Okay, sounds good. And the thing is that, generally speaking, these Pokemon nowadays, at least, not always, but most of the time, tend to come through as dragon Pokemon. Certainly if we look at something like Dragonite, now Dragonite is not a pure dragon type. Dragonite is dragon flying. So we absolutely could get a colourless Dragonite, which would come along as essentially a flying type. That would make sense to me. But we haven't. If we look at the Dragonite we got in the Sun and Moon block, and we actually did get a bunch of Dragonite in the Sun and Moon block, the GX from Unified Minds and the one from Dragon Majesty, they were both Dragon type. The one from Sun and Moon, the one from Team Up, the one from Unified Minds, we're talking all Dragon type. Because it's a Dragon Pokemon, it's a headline Dragon Pokemon. Well, Dragapult is really the headline dragon Pokemon from Sword and Shield. And it is a dragon Pokemon with secondary typing as Ghost. Now, this is fairly important. If the secondary typing was dragon, maybe we'd go, well, okay, fine, but it's not. It is dragon Ghost. What that means is that we would expect to have kind of majority dragon cards with the odd psychic card, which of course comes across as Ghost. Okay, makes perfect sense. For instance, if we have a look at Appletun and Applin, they are dragon Pokemon, but they're grass dragon. So most of the time we would expect to see them coming through as grass Pokemon at first instance, and maybe get a dragon print later. So the fact that in VMAX Rising we got grass, Appletun and Applin doesn't bother me at all. But the fact that we got a Ghost Dragapult, or a Psychic Dragapult because it's Ghost, that kind of does. And it's not just that, but remember I told you a couple of weeks ago that it's been confirmed that in Rebellion Crash, we are getting a GX Dragapult, and it's already been confirmed as Psychic. So the real headline, and it is the only primarily dragon Pokemon that we got in Sword and Shield. There's no pure dragon Pokemon in Sword and Shield. And the only secondary type, actually there's a few secondary type dragon. We've got the Applin line, which we've talked about before. Some of the fossils which haven't come around in the game yet. And then we've got, well, Eternatus, but he's not in the game yet, not the TCG. And Duraludon. And again, we've seen a couple of Duraludon, and Duraludon has come through as a metal type. But that shouldn't worry us too much because it's metal, or steel, but metal in the TCG, with a secondary typing of dragon. So none of this worries me too much. It's starting to kind of build up in terms of coincidence, but it's not bothering me too much. What is bothering me is that we got a primary type dragon Pokemon, and we got two different prints of it. And both of them have turned out to be psychic type when they could have, and I would argue at least one of them should have been, a dragon type. So to recap, we have seen 0 cards in the Sword and Shield block that are dragon type, as in the Pokemon are pure dragon. So we got nothing to go on there. In terms of secondary typing, we can look at stuff like Applin and Duraludon, but it's secondary typing dragon, that's nothing to worry about. In terms of primary dragon-type Pokemon, we've seen the aforementioned Dragapult, and the one we know is coming, and the only other one we've seen, there was a promo Rayquaza, which came through as a colourless Pokemon. That is to say, it's come through as flying type, because Rayquaza can be either a flying Pokemon or a dragon Pokemon. It's dragon with secondary type flying, so it's come through as a colourless Pokemon. Is that anything to worry about? Probably not. I mean, we did get a colourless Rayquaza back in Guardians Rising, but my point here is, this is starting to add up into far, far too much of a coincidence for my liking. It's starting to get a little bit silly. We have seen no pure dragon-type Pokemon at all. We've seen 3 cards of Pokemon that are primarily dragon, primary dragon, and yet they're all secondary typing. And then any of the secondary typing we've seen are their primary typing, but again, that's nothing too weird. So what's happening to dragon-type Pokemon? I was willing to say back when we just saw Sword and Shield, it's not nothing to worry about. But now we've seen VMAX Rising. And we have seen the dragon Pokemon, seriously, the only pure or primary dragon Pokemon in Sword and Shield, having the first 2 of its cards coming through as its secondary typing rather than dragon. That's weird. That is not normal, ladies and gentlemen. Something's going on. Now, I'm not ready at this stage to plant my flag in the ground and go, dragon Pokemon are gone. We need to see a pure dragon Pokemon. That's what we need. We need a Dragonite so that we can see what typing the Dratini is. Because although Dragonite is part flying, Dratini isn't. Dratini and Dragonair are pure dragon. Or we need to see a Haxorus card or a Druddigon card to see what's going on with them. To see if maybe we can get an answer to this. And if we get a Haxorus as a colourless Pokemon, that should tell us something. Because cards like Haxorus and Druddigon have always been dragon type since dragons came in. Now there is actually one exception to this. The Druddigon from Legendary Treasures was a colourless Pokemon that came after we'd already had 4 Dragon Druddigon, but it was a reprint, a straight reprint of the one from Noble Victories, which was from a time pre-Dragon Pokemon. So again, we don't need to worry about that. It looks weird, but it totally makes sense. So we're kind of alright with it. My point here is this. Where are dragon Pokemon? Why are we getting primary dragon Pokemon coming through as their secondary typing? Why have we not seen a single dragon Pokemon so far? Fairy Pokemon hit dragon for weakness, which means we know dragon Pokemon have lost their weakness. They can't be weak to fairy when there are no fairy Pokemon. Maybe the designers are just taking a while to figure out exactly what they want to do with dragon Pokemon in a metagame without fairy Pokemon. Maybe this is just a test for the time being. Maybe dragon Pokemon have gone for now, and they're waiting to see what's happening before they make an official announcement one way or the other. Maybe dragon Pokemon are gone, but in a couple sets' time, the designers are going to bring them back without saying a word. But something's going on here. And dragon Pokemon have always had a weird relationship ever since they came in. We've never had basic dragon energy. We had double dragon energy, but that came around in Roaring Skies and has never been reprinted since. And Dragon Pokemon have always had super awkward attack costs, like the Dragonite GX that attacks for a Water, a Lightning, and 2 colourless, or the Druddigon that attacks for a Fire, a Water, and a colourless. They've always got, usually at least, 2 different types of energy in the attack cost. And that's just awkward. And that's why Double Dragon Energy was so good. And it's why Dragon Pokemon generally haven't seen play. I mean, at the moment, the big Dragon Pokemon are Dragonite GX, because it attacks for colourless energy, and of course, Arceus and Dialga and Palkia, who really is the gold standard of Dragon Pokemon right now. But that's because it's just utterly phenomenal in terms of letting you do an extra 30 damage while taking extra prizes, or letting you do 150 while accelerating energy, and it fits nicely with other Pokemon because of its energy typing. We could also throw Naganadel in there as a Pokemon that's been pretty good, but Naganadel works because it's 1 Psychic, 3 colourless energy, and the GX attack is a Lightning but no one really cares, and it's got a drawing ability. My conclusion on this is very simple. Something is going on. Back when we hadn't had any in Sword and Shield, I went, just chill your boots, we're fine. But something is going on now. Whether this is just a test, whether they've been left out for a period of time for another deliberate reason, but there is absolutely no way there is a coincidence that the main set and the mini set and the promos, there's not a single Dragon Pokemon among them, but we're getting a colourless Rayquaza and 2 Psychic Dragapult. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, not buying it for a second. But there we go, you can't win them all. For now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to know what your theory is on this. Do you agree with me? What do you think's going on? Do you think we'll ever see another Dragon Pokemon in this game? Go nuts in the comment section, but please remember the rules. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are still pretty gosh darned awesome. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves until next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.